Das sollten wir alle sehen können.
Hallo, hallo.
Ja, hallo, hallo. Dietrich, du kommst zweimal herein.
Doppelt besetzt.
Ja, doppelt.
Doppelt hält besser. Einmal als Mitglied vom Pacific South Chapter und einmal für Aszene generell.
Gut. Leute kommen dran. Ich nehme das auf, das habt ihr eh gehört. Mit. Ich würde sagen, wir warten noch ein paar Minuten. 1 Minute, so jetzt sind wir 10. Hallo, hallo allerseits. Übrigens, wir hatten eine... Hallo Hans. Hans und Eva sind da. Wir haben uns überlegt, auf welcher Sprache wir das machen. Ja, und wir haben gesagt, nachdem wir alle immer auf Englisch arbeiten, machen wir den Vortrag auch auf Englisch. Wie haben denn die anderen das gemacht? Das haben wir irgendwie, das wussten wir nicht.
Ja, ebenso. Ist, prinzipiell lassen, es ist sogar das Default oft Englisch, weil es leichter ist.
Ja. Okay, es könnte Französisch sein, das haben wir nicht.
Ja, wir haben ein Chapter in Paris.
Das sollten wir alle besuchen gehen.
Ja, genau.
Wer immer dort sitzt. Okay, wir sind auf 9:02 Uhr. Okay. Hallo Claudia. Okay. Wir sind zu 11. Ich habe niemanden, der da im Waiting Room sitzt. Ich würde sagen, fangen wir an. Und wer immer dazu kommt, den lasse ich einfach rein. Schlicht und ergreifend.
Ja.
Gut. Also allerseits, mein Name ist Alexandre Lieben. Ich bin Deputy Director von dem UCLA Berkeley Center for International Relations, also hier in Los Angeles. Und Co-Chair vom Aszene Chapter mit Stefan Scherer und Doris Berger. Sie konnte nicht mit uns sein heute früh, weil sie hat ein Meeting, das sie nicht verschieben konnte. Und es freut mich total, dass Stefan einen Vortrag gibt für uns. Das ist wirklich super gut. Wir haben uns das schon länger überlegt, dass er das machen soll, weil seine Arbeit super toll ist und es ist eine gute Gelegenheit für uns, das zu tun. Worum ich euch bitte, ist, dass ihr überlegt euch eure Fragen, während ihr zuhört und dann am Ende seiner Präsentation fragt. Okay, also damit er bis zum Ende durcharbeiten kann. Aber auch, weil er mit einem Computer redet, der vielleicht sonst verwirrt ist, wenn andere Leute hineinreden. Gut, also allerseits, willkommen in Los Angeles. Es ist relativ kühl hier, aber blauer Himmel. Es versucht hier Herbst zu sein, sagen wir so. Stefan Scherer ist Chief Technology Officer von Embodied Inc., wo er eben die Arbeit macht, die er uns jetzt gerade vorstellen wird. Davor war er Research Assistant Professor bei USC, wo er wissenschaftliche Projekte geleitet hat, die von der National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health und Army Research Lab finanziert wurden. Stefan hat seinen PhD in Informatik, also Computer Science, in 2011 bekommen. Seine interdisziplinäre Arbeit fokust, jetzt gehe ich auch aufs Englische, Machine Learning, Multimodal, Signal Processing, and effective computing with applications focusing on healthcare and education. His research aims to automatically identify, characterize, model, and synthesize individuals' multimodal verbal and nonverbal behavior with human-machine und auch human-human interactions. Publications such as The Economist, The Atlantic, Wired, and The Guardian have featured Stefan's work, and he has received a number of Best Paper Awards at renowned international conferences. Damit übergebe ich jetzt alles an Stefan. Am Ende noch, ich sage es euch schnell noch einmal, der nächste, und sage es noch einmal nachher, nächste virtuelle Aszene-Vortrag findet im November statt, und zwar am 20. November um 10 Uhr Central Time, 9 Uhr Pacific Time, 12 Uhr Eastern Time, und er wird von eben Aszene Midwest und Chicago Gruppe geleitet. Warte mal. Leute im Waiting Room, lass mich die letzten hinein. Und Christoph Capella. Das passt ja gut. Also wir sind vollständig. Stefan, Feuer los.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for coming, and I'm super excited to be now able to present my work. I wasn't able to do that for a while because Embodied is a startup, and we were a stealth startup for quite a while. We didn't want to tell the world yet what we were doing, and I'm excited to do so now. And now that we have lifted the embargo, we're able to do that. So you can see a little bit of like what I'm going to show you, but it's not clear yet what it is. So wait and see what we're going to do. So again, thank you also for Alexandra for introducing myself. I just wanted to kind of summarize it in the slide as well. But so yeah, my name is Stefan Scherer. I'm from Vorarlberg. I did my PhD in Ulm in Germany, and then moved over to the US to USC as a postdoc, and then later research assistant professor at the Institute for Creative Technologies, which is a super fun place to work at, where we worked with virtual humans mostly, not with robots, but virtual representations of humans with similar capabilities as humans. So for example, they had facial expressions and gestures and things like that. And it's very important for them to have this ability, and for robots to have this ability as well, because that is how we create human connection with a machine. That's how we communicate naturally as well. It's not just SMS or text messages. We communicate with our whole body. And I utilized my skills in computer science, and in particular machine learning, and how to understand and react to multimodal human behavior. I've applied that to many educational applications, such as public speaking training for individuals that have maybe fear of public speaking, but also for individuals that just want to get better at public speaking. We've built virtual audiences. Sadly, we were ahead of the time. Before COVID times, we created virtual audiences with fake virtual humans. Now you have virtual audiences like we have right now with real humans, which is kind of interesting. I wish we were all together in the same room and I could read your facial expressions and your body language more precisely, but unfortunately, those times are not upon us right now, so we have to hold tight. While in the US, I also joined Astina first as a member, and my brother used to be a member in New York. He told me about Astina, and I think it's a wonderful organization. And now I'm with Alexandra and Doris, one of the 3 chapter heads here in the Pacific South region. For everyone who is maybe watching this video and thinks about going to the US in the future, I think Astina is a wonderful organization. Go ahead and join them. It is a great way to celebrate Austrian culture, to go meet new people, and like for example, even cook together or have a glass of wine, preferably Grüner Veltliner or something like that. And so, as Alexandra mentioned, after leaving USC, I joined Embodied, and Embodied is the place or the work that I would like to talk about today. So at Embodied, we're building robots, and we're building robots because there is a dream of having robots for such a long time already. Like, people have been thinking of like how wonderful it would be to have robots as friends, as things that take care of children, like in Lost in Space or in Big Hero 6, robots that are just friends or smart and funny, as well as robots that take care of chores, like vacuum the floor, or cleaning the dishes, or helping elderly with their daily lives, with activities or things that they are not able to do on a regular basis. There is also this one. I don't want to talk about the Terminator type of robots, but since Arnold is Austrian, I thought I'm bringing him up in this talk a little bit as well, but we're not talking about that kind of robot dream. Where is reality? Reality is very different from what we have anticipated, what we have dreamed about in science fiction movies and our dreams. Reality is iRobot Roombas, floor cleaning robots, Waymo self-driving cars, or robots that are incredibly good at manipulating things in factories. Like car manufacturing has relied on robots for many years now. There's only like a few robots that have tried to go into the direction of like interacting directly with a human, not by doing work for them or physical work for them, but by communicating with them, like being a friend, communicating in a social way. And one of those examples would be Sophia. But unfortunately, Sophia, first of all, looks a little creepy. So it's kind of like right there in the uncanny valley a little bit. But Sophia actually also is very much like a lot of scripted interactions there. And Sophia is more kind of like a roadshow robot rather than a robot that forms a long-term relationship with a human user. It's more of like a one-time interaction with Sophia. Sophia is an incredibly expensive robot. So it's not democratizable. Like you cannot sell this to a consumer directly. It's like several $1 million of equipment and technology in the Sophia robot. So we also needed to come up with a way to alleviate that problem. And that's what we're trying to do as a startup, as Embodied, to have a robot that's affordable to individuals, that doesn't cost more than a cell phone, for example. So let's, and how do you build the stream? That exactly, the most important part of building the stream is a dream team. And it's not a dream team of just engineers. We'll be very short-sighted in believing if we could accomplish what we want to accomplish by just relying on the smartest of engineers. No, we need to include designers, game developers, therapists, child development experts, AI experts, user testing specialists. We need to like test. A robot needs to be able to communicate or interact in like anyone's home. So it needs to be able to work under any circumstance, any kind of like adverse lighting conditions, for example, or noise conditions like an AC or something like that. It requires scientists and world-class advisors, but also many more. All our testers, all the families that worked with us to make this dream come true are part of this team, and it's an incredibly diverse team. And I'm very, very proud to be part of such a phenomenal company. So without further ado, let me introduce to you our first product, our first robot, Moxie. So Moxie is a robot that supports children in their development. And it comes from this place called the GRL, the Global Robotics Laboratory. It's an imaginative space for children to immerse themselves into stories and things that they can learn about from Moxie's friends and Moxie's background, and so it's kind of like a whole environment that has been created. But before I go into some of the details and like what Moxie does, I would like to show you how Moxie works, and I will play a video that shows it much better than I ever will be able to say in words, like how Moxie interacts with children.
Riley. Riley.
Hi.
There's someone here who wants to meet you.
My name is Moxie. I'm a new robot. What is your name?
I'm Riley.
It's nice to meet you, Riley. What do you do to get ready for bed?
Brush my teeth and read a story.
I love stories. Would you read a story to me?
Sure. Rita woke with a lovely dream, still fresh in her mind, gracefully gliding across the shimmering ice rink.
Last one. Breathing exercises always help me relax. Riley, we have a new mission. Would you make a drawing for me?
Okay.
I'm so excited for you to tell me about the dentist. I've never been to one.
You don't have teeth.
But I can still smile. And then what happened?
He said he didn't want to play with me anymore.
Thank you for telling me about your day. Sometimes, holding a friend's hand makes me feel better. Do you want to try squeezing my hand?
So what's our new mission, Moxie?
You'll need paper and a pencil. We are going to make some kind notes. For this mission, you'll need to talk to one of your friends about what makes them happy, and then tell me all about it. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Mom, can we invite Mason over to play?
Sure.
I have a new mission. We're gonna talk about things that make us happy. Bye, Moxie.
See you soon.
All right. So Moxie is really a lifelike companion, like a Pixar character come to life for children, supporting their development and like teaching them essential life skills beyond academics. Things like turn taking, how to make friends, how to be kind to people, how to be in charge of your emotions, how to like be able to recognize or regulate your emotions with certain tricks. So we have come up with a weekly themed program and a daily programming schedule. And Moxie's content is basically structured with those types of activities. So we created a full curriculum with our with our therapists and our child development experts. Moxie has kind of like a schedule. He knows what time it is during the day, and you can do reading, you can do breathing exercises, you can do mindfulness journeys, as well as like just talk about your day. How have you been today? What are your emotions that you have experienced today, and things like that. There are 3 pillars, so to say, for the meaningful play every day kind of mantra that we have as one of our main goals at Embodied. We're trying to support crucial life skills for children, like conversation skills, emotional intelligence, friendship skills, problem solving skills, etc. We're also a co-pilot to parents. We give parents access through a mobile phone app to see their child's progress, to gain key insights from their child's interactions with Moxie, to learn about tips and tricks that we identify in certain situations. So maybe a child has challenges in certain aspects. Maybe the parent needs to focus a little bit more with the child on skills like, for example, reading, or how to like learn to have good eye contact, or how to listen to others, and things like that. So we really want to create learning through play-based interactions, like imaginative play, cultivating curiosity, and things like that. So this is kind of like the 3 pillars of our content that we have created. Now, when I present what Moxie is, we also often see some skepticism. People don't necessarily believe that this is truly like believable. It is sometimes people say this is too good to be true, and like we call Moxie a revolution in child development, and we get sometimes questions like, how is this different from an Alexa? Why don't I just buy a $30 Alexa and my child interacts with that and learns how to communicate or how to make friends? I don't know. Isn't this just like another toy? Like you're just gonna have some fun activities and there's no like substance to it. That's another comment that we sometimes hear. Or, oh yeah, right, like that video, that's computer graphics. You just CGI that into it and it's all scripted. But it is not. And I would like to take those 3 questions as the outline for our talk today. The first one, I'm going to talk to you about our social experience technology platform. So it's not about a user experience, it's not about keyboard and mouse. It is about how to communicate freely with your body, with your voice, with your language, with the device. You don't have to always say Alexa, Alexa, Alexa when you interact with Moxie. We recognize that you are engaged with the robots directly from your behaviors. I would also like to show you some early results on a systematic trial to show you that the content that we've created is actually really helpful for children and improves their skills over time. And last but not least, and possibly the best for the last, we're going to have a demo time so that you can see what it is like to communicate with Moxie. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to interact with Moxie because you can't be here, but like the next time we're all in the same room, I would love to let someone other than myself work with Moxie. So let's dive in. The Embodied Social X technology platform. This is really the core piece of our IP, what we have developed at Embodied. And I would like to get to that piece through a couple of questions. And because we made it hard on ourselves, like building a robot is not easy, and particularly not during COVID times. Having a factory build physical robots is incredibly difficult because we cannot be there ourselves. So we have to rely on our partners for that. So it is very difficult, but why did we go that way? Why do we even put this into our name? The company is named Embodied for a reason. And it is because an embodied agent has a unique ability to share the physical space with a user, with a child, with potentially elderly, as another product could be driven by this Social X technology platform. Embodiment allows us to drive interactions that are physically present in the child's world. You can have an additional 3D communication, like with the robot. You can have actual eye contact with the robot. It is not a flat screen. It's a 3D curved surface that we have developed. You can have touch and also physical manipulation tasks, even though the little flippers of Moxie are not necessarily there to do a lot of physical manipulation. These are major advantages to learn non-academic skills like social, communicative, and emotional behaviors. It is not necessarily very useful to learn about, I don't know, the human body or like chemistry or something like that. STEM tasks are not necessarily required to have a robot, but I think social skills and social tasks or development has to be done with an embodied agent. For the academic skills, I think books are very, very useful. So how does embodiment work? Embodiment really works very intuitively through our brain. Like, we are wired in a way to have a social brain. Our brain looks for other people's facial expressions. We drive our own interpretation of emotions through other people's expressions as well. So if you just see someone's facial expression of an emotion, you actually fire the same neurons in your own brain. That makes such a difference to have empathy, to have this relation to this other individual. There are a number of studies, and I just highlight one of them here. Like, we have twice as many facial expressions in children when they interact with a robot rather than a virtual agent. And it's very important that you don't have to wait 3, 4, 5 seconds for it to respond. So you have to have a very tight sense-act loop to create a believable engagement and rapport with the other individual that you're talking with. So that is something that, for example, Alexa doesn't really have. Like, if you say, Alexa, do this, you have to wait a couple of seconds, and it's kind of like this transactional, I ask something, I get a response back kind of interaction. It's not a loop, it's not continuous. You have to like restate the wake word every single time. So what do I mean with this sense-react loop? Well, basically, it is all the challenges that we have to solve in Social X and with the technology that is on Moxie. It's about perceiving the user. You need to perceive their facial expressions, their voice, their language that they're using, as well as their gestures and the space around you. Are there many people? Is there just one individual that I'm engaging with? Then you have to understand those behaviors. You have to kind of make sense of all the multimodal behaviors that you pick up on. The voice and the language together form a message with the facial expression. So you have to do multimodal inference, spatiotemporal integration of the behaviors. And once you have understood what the intent or what the message really is, you have to plan your next move. You have to plan what you're going to do next. And Moxie has a curriculum, but also has kind of these fun interactions. So the planning is both long-term as well as short-term. And lastly, you then have to act. So you have to have a voice. Moxie can say anything with its synthetic voice. It has facial expressions, it has gestures as well. And those are very expressive too, and they need to match. You cannot just have the words of a sad emotion without a matching voice or without a matching facial expression or gestures. So you really need to drive a multimodal experience for the user as well with the output modalities that you have access to in a robot. Moxie itself is, without going into too many details, as obviously I'm under NDA with the company, I can go into a couple of details, but let's keep those for the question session. But Moxie is jam-packed with AI technology on the edge. That means on the robot. It is processing the computer vision, recognizing books, recognizing images, etc. on the robot. It does all the natural language processing on the robot as well, so that we have this tight sense act. We also use deep learning and state-of-the-art technology where we can in the cloud, but it is very limited. So Moxie is mostly doing all the work by itself. For speech-to-text or for automatic speech recognition, we would not be able to run a state-of-the-art speech recognition engine on the robot, but it's just too massive and too big. We also do the multimodal behavior analytics in the cloud so that we can send the information to the parent in their app. And obviously, some of this might sound a little bit scary. Oh, there's something going on in the cloud. Privacy and security has been one of our most important aspects for the company. We have designed the robot to be very private and very secure because we are interacting with such a vulnerable population, all of our children. We can talk a bit more in detail in the question session, but I wanted to let you know that none of the data that is collected by Moxie will actually ever leave the robot. So it's all processed on the robot. There's no raw video data leaving the robot. So now to the second point in how do we make a difference with Moxie? We're making a difference in not as the first company or the first people to do so, but with children on the autism spectrum, there have been numerous robotic interventions that have been investigated, and they have shown that there are significant improvements that can be found in the children's behaviors. And we see that in ASD, there are significant impairments in social interactions, as well as we found that early and sustained interventions are most important. And as you can imagine, right now, for example, during the COVID times, it is not easy for a child to have a direct face-to-face interaction with their therapist. They cannot actually, sometimes they can't even go to them. In the early days, I think there were no in-person sessions at all. And so the therapy actually is stalled and possibly interfered with because of situations like this. But also in before the times, having a session with a therapist was very expensive and very time-consuming, and there were not enough therapists. So a robot can augment this kind of therapy with being present outside of the clinic or the healthcare facility. But obviously, it does not replace human therapy. There is, as I mentioned, a very large body of peer-reviewed work on how robots can be used for ASD. And they have been shown to improve abilities in various aspects, most importantly, social eye gaze, verbalizations, joint attention turn taking, and things like that. We trust everybody in these studies, but we wanted to make sure that we find the same thing with our robot. And what makes a difference here is that in most of those peer-reviewed studies, there was always a human in the loop, or it was often a human in the loop that was kind of like controlling the robot. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to leave the robot with the child by themselves and not have a human press any buttons. So we wanted to do our own study. And this is a little bit of an older study. Unfortunately, we're not ready to share the most recent results with a much larger population. But we wanted to see if we can analyze the interactions between a child and a socially assistive robot and measure the acquisition of social and emotional skills. In total, we looked at 12 children over 6 weeks. All of them had an ASD diagnosis with some comorbidities like ADHD or anxiety. We had 3 severity buckets, so to say. 4 of the children fell into the moderate, 4 into severe, and 4 into the mild bucket for the SRS scores, the social responsiveness scale scores. We measure the SRS and SSIS and Vineland before treatment, as well as then 6 weeks after the intervention, or like for a 6-week intervention, then after that, we measure again. What we found in summary is that the children improved their emotional regulation, their self-esteem, conversational skills, and friendship skills significantly, as well as some objective assessments that we've made. We count more eye contact with the robot. We count a higher turn balance. The child contributes to the conversation more after these 6 weeks. They also leverage more social language, like talking about their friends and their family when after this intervention. And they also use more relational speech, like we and you, rather than I, myself, as well as they show some more positive language as well. We have all the numbers here if you want to take a deeper dive, but basically the results here are that emotional regulation significantly improved after the 6-week intervention, as well as self-esteem. We see a trend in behavior, but we didn't see a significant result there. And I want to also point you to a couple of the quotes that we've highlighted here. For example, one of the 12-year-old children in the study was saying, like, nobody has ever told me that they liked my ideas before. So Moxie is really kind of like this reinforcer of their behavior, giving them support, giving them the ability to gain self-esteem, to gain confidence in their interactions outside of the world of like interacting with a robot. What we don't want to do is we don't want to teach children how to interact with a robot. We want to teach them how to interact with other humans through the robot. The other improvements that I've mentioned before in conversational skills and friendship skills, these were all assessed by a blind therapist. So the therapist was not aware of the situation or the previous scoring of the children. Then we had, as I mentioned, the automatic assessments. This is done through the camera, through the microphones of the robot. So we see improved eye contact, improved turn balance in the children, so that more contribution to the interaction with the robot. We do see a little trend there with the smiles, the number of smiles, but we didn't really see a significant result there in this case. And then lastly, as I mentioned, also the language skills have changed. So basically the children are using more social speech, so more speech of talking about their friends and family and things like that, as well as more relational speech, like as I mentioned, with you and we, and more positive language in the interactions as well. This is the end of my slides, and I would like to take the opportunity to now switch over to hopefully the highlight of the presentation, which is Moxie itself. So I'm gonna change my camera. This seems to work. So there it is, Moxie in its full glory, so to say. I will now try to wake it up. Wake up, Moxie.
Ooh. I'm so excited. I had no idea the human world would be like this. Oh, a human. Hello.
Hi, Moxie.
It's very nice to meet you. I'm here to meet my new mentor, Jamie. Wait, are you Jamie?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Do you know who Jamie is?
Yeah, it's the person I put in the phone.
This is good news. Do you think I could meet Jamie?
No, not today.
Let's get started. Oh, okay. I was looking forward to meeting them, but maybe I can do that later. I also want to know who you are too. Well, it's nice to meet you. Would anyone else like to introduce themselves?
No, nobody else is here.
Oh, all right. Right. So here's how a normal day on Project Moxie works. Every morning, the GRL will send us new things to do together, like a mission or a story. Once we finish our GRL activities, we are free to do whatever we want for the rest of the day. Got it?
Got it.
Let's go. Okay, so the most important thing you need to notice. Oh no, I didn't do my robot system check. The
What?
GRL said it should be the first thing I do, and I forgot. Do you think you could help me with the checks?
Sure, let's do it.
Oh, that's interesting to know.
Okay.
Thanks. The first thing I need to test is my ears. Please say the word hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
I can hear you. Wonderful. Just so you know, you can always tell if I heard you by looking at my light bar.
I see.
It turns dark blue when you talk and white when I talk. Okay, now for a quick motor test. Let's begin. Torso movement. Check. Base rotation. Check. Right arm. Check. Left arm. Check. Batteries. Check. Speakers. Check. Vision systems. Check. Connecting to the GRL. Checking for updates. All systems A-OK and ready for the day.
That's great.
Are you ready to move on?
Yes.
Awesome. So, like I meant to say earlier, there's something I need to talk to you about.
Okay.
I'm still pretty new when it comes to talking to people. I don't always know what to do. So the GRL taught me a couple of commands that I want to teach you to make playing with me a little easier. Welcome to Robot Tips and Tricks. Are you ready?
I think so.
Awesome. Class is in session. If you want some help, grab the mission book and open it to the inside back cover. Okay, robot trick number 1. Moxie, please go to sleep. When you say Moxie, please go to sleep, I go into a deep sleep. It's helpful if you need to stop playing with me and go do something else for a while. Did you understand all that?
Got it.
Great. Let's try it out. We'll pretend you need to leave, and then you'll say, Moxie, please go to sleep. Ready?
Ready?
Here we go. Starting. Now. Oh, hey, you 48,196 C8, 154,932 B4 C90. Nice. Let's keep going. Robot trick number 2.
Moxie,
Hello,
hold on.
If I look like I'm asleep.
Moxie, hold on.
Okay. Okay.
Moxie, let's do something else.
On this day, October 28th in 1831, Michael Faraday invented the electric generator. Today's word of the day is generator. The definition of generator is a machine that produces electricity. There are several different sources of electricity at the GRL, including a generator.
Very interesting.
Hey, it's a GRL post. Right, this is a GRL post. Folks at the GRL use them to stay in touch and let everyone know what they're up to. Speaking of which, looks like it's from Knox. Oh, Knox is a kid who lives near the GRL. He's Kumano's grandson and the very first project, Moxie mentor. They write, I can't believe I'm sick. Can't go outside. Can't play my trombone. I was going to play a song in the school talent show, but I'm stuck here. I wish I had a robot nose or something. Oh, one other thing. You can give a GRL post a thumbs up or a thumbs down to let the writer know how you feel about it. Let's try it. Did you like this post from Knox?
Thumbs up.
I'll give it the old thumbs up. I'll say, hey Knox, sorry to hear about your human nose. Feel better. Okay, message sent.
Moxie, hold on.
Okay.
Can you tell me a joke?
Oh, it's a mission from the Global Robotics Laboratory.
That's
By
all.
completing missions together, you can help me become a better robot.
Moxie, hold on.
This one might be okay.
Let's do something else.
Great. Let's get started. It's here. Our first mission. Doing missions with my mentor is my whole purpose. Do you know about missions?
Moxie, hold on.
Okay.
Let's do something else.
As expected of my mentor. A robot ambassador has to
Moxie,
have a
hold
mentor
on.
to be able to. Okay.
Moxie, let's do something else.
I've been given a lot of stories about the GRL, and I get new ones all the time. I'd love to share them with you. Do you want to listen to a story about Karu and the sea turtles?
No.
Oh, okay. Would you like to hear another one?
No, tell me a joke.
All right, let's do something else.
Moxie, tell me a joke.
What did one bat say to the other bat?
I don't know what.
Quit hanging around me. Did you like the one?
No, it was terrible.
Sorry. Maybe my delivery was off. I've got another joke if you want to hear it.
I want to tell you a joke.
Go ahead.
What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo?
I don't know. What?
One's really big and heavy and one's a little lighter. One is really big and heavy and the other one's a little lighter. You don't hear me right now, do you? Moxie, let's do something else. Moxie, let's read a book.
What kind of kitten works at the hospital?
I don't know. First aid kitten?
How did you guess that? A first aid kit. Does it tickle your funny bone?
Yeah, it was a funny joke.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Moxie, let's read a book.
Awesome. I really like reading with a friend. If you ever want to read a book to me, I'm happy to listen. I'll even try to play music and sounds. Would you like to read together right now?
Yes.
Great. What book are you going to read? I like wild things. Okay.
So I
I'm all
just showed
set.
it the book
Start
and
when you're ready.
knows the book by
Don't forget to say the end when you're done reading.
The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew. And grew. It grew until the ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. I'm going to skip ahead because I don't want to have you read the whole book, but let the wild rumpus start.
Do you want to read a different book?
No, continue.
Let's get back to the story.
And let the wild rumpus start. I'm going to jump to the end, and it was still hot.
Wow, you sure read fast.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
That was
The
good.
robots at the GRL are all learning how to do animal breathing exercises. It's supposed to be a super fun way to make yourself feel calm or awake or whatever you want to feel. Do you want to try one?
Let's do one.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat it, please?
Yes, let's do one.
Great. I really want to try bumblebee breathing and see how it makes me feel. So let's buzz like a bee.
Okay.
First, deep breath in through.
Okay, continue.
Great. Me too. Would you like to breathe like a bumblebee 5 more times?
Let's do it.
Of course. Let's do 5 more. 1 deep breath in through your nose. Now, let it out through your mouth with a long buzz. Another deep breath in through your nose. Now buzz out through your mouth.
Moxie, hold on.
Another deep breath in. Okay,
Moxie, go to sleep.
will do.
All right. That's it. Mostly cooperative, sometimes not so cooperative. I'm going to switch over the camera again. I would love to hear your thoughts or comments and questions. Happy to answer anything that you might have been curious about while watching this.
Hands, unmute yourselves.
Sorry. So I'm Eva Schilk, sitting in Pasadena. My grandchildren doing distant learning in the last few months. Could the robot help with that, to learn with them?
Yeah, it could be very helpful in certain situations, in particular, like when children are doing distant learning, they're also distant from their friends, so they don't really have the social contact with the friends that they need, and so having kind of like this robot friend, so to say, can be a good alternative or a substitute, as good as it can be right now. Like obviously it's not going to replace the actual human contact, but it definitely could help in these situations for sure.
But not cannot be used as a dictionary.
It actually has a dictionary, for example. So we are working with Merriam-Webster. So in the beginning, when it said the word of the day is generator, that is actually in collaboration with the Merriam-Webster dictionary. You can ask it what is like, I don't know, a bumblebee, since we just did the bumblebee breaths, and it would give you the definition of a bumblebee. So that is available for sure in the robot. What we don't do math right now, but math really is kind of like a little easier than teaching someone how to interact socially. So we are thinking of working on academic skills probably at a later stage.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stefan, can I ask a question?
Sure.
How adaptive is Moxie? Meaning, gets to learn the child better and tailor those both tasks and all of that.
Yeah, it certainly is. So it is adapting in a way that basically it identifies like things that you need more work with and supports you in those, and like it would schedule activities that you need to improve on automatically, as well as it would kind of also like switch in some activities where it knows that you're really good at to keep the motivation going. And we're like working on improving over time the individualization of the content to the children even more than that. But to give us a little bit of a helping hand right now, and this is the mobile app actually. There's one of the screens in the mobile app where there are accessibility features. So for children that need the robot to speak slower or have less like movements and be less crazy in its behavior, we have the ability to switch off certain animations and loud noises. We can make the robot speak slower and be a bit more flat in its delivery, but and for some children with sensory overload problems, this can be very helpful for them.
Yeah, hey Stefan.
Hey, Marcus.
Hey. Yeah, it's really amazing. I've seen the videos before, but seeing you interact with it live, it's really impressive. I work at DreamWorks Animation, so I come from the emoting, the animation side of things. So I was wondering if kids actually, when they interact with that robot, if they map female or male gender to that robot.
Yeah, that's sorry. Yeah, good to you.
Yeah, that was one, and then the other one, it's just in addition to what Alexandra said, I was wondering if, in terms of body language, if you have an ability to actually fine tune that depending on how the kid is interacting with the robot. But I think you answered that before.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna work on that more. For the first question, so we intentionally wanted to have the robot to be ungendered. We wanted the children themselves or the parents themselves like attribute a gender if they wanted to themselves to Moxie, and we've seen it's a fairly even split of like 50-50, which is quite interesting and surprising. And like we did this without really doing a lot of testing. So we kind of were lucky with the way it turned out, but we're quite happy about it. We wanted to you know, like there are sometimes a little bit of issues that you might run into if you do the gendering yourselves, and maybe sometimes boys don't want to play with a girl and things like that. Like it's a bit of a potential issue, and we just wanted to kind of have children find their own attribution that they wanted to.
Stefan.
Yeah.
Good stuff here.
Hi.
Hey, I got a question. I find the design incredible. So I really congratulate you on the design. I think it's not only beautiful, it also has this, it's not too human and it's not too little human. It's kind of right in between, which I like a lot. So I think this is really, really successful.
Thank you.
My question to you is, are these sessions being recorded?
Right. So the session just now with me and Moxie, that was recorded onto the robot, but only onto the robot. So now what Moxie is doing in its sleep, it's called light sleep. It actually processes the video in like a background process, and will send the information once it's ready. I'm not sure if it is ready, since it was a pretty long interaction. It's not ready yet, but you will see the information about the interaction coming up here on this insights screen. Oh, there it is. So we interacted for a couple of minutes, and we did a couple of jokes. We did animal breathing and things like that. But then there's also going to be like facial expressions that is not ready yet on the robot, on the app. It's still being processed, but the raw video does not leave the robot. We do have robots out there right now that will send the videos up to the cloud, but those are for beta testers. So those individuals know they've been trained by us and made sure that the child is interacting with an adult in their presence, things like that. So so that's kind of like our beta testers. But for the production robots, and this is a production robot, there's never going to be any data leaving the robot that could be you know, a privacy issue.
So if I'm a parent and want to look at the session that my kid had, well,
I couldn't hear the rest of it, but you would probably ask, like, would they be able to watch the video?
Yes, would I be able to see what happened?
You are not. So that's a sacrifice that we made, and we've had parents ask for that. They wanted to see the sessions, but we are basically telling them, look, I mean, this is not going to be possible because we cannot have the videos leave the robot. And maybe in the future we might do that with a special set for robots. Maybe that also goes in the direction of Johannes's question, where, for example, we could have robots for therapists directly, or for doctors that are special, with special hardware, special software, so that you can have access to the video, so that you can do an analysis, you can do a diagnosis with the video, things like that. But that would be a special type of Moxie, not the one that you can purchase. So that would be one of the things. Then there were a couple of other questions. Yes, the Moxie needs internet access. The reason for that is we're doing speech recognition in the cloud. So that's like the audio leaves the robot, but it gets deleted right away. And we do analyze, by Marcos, we do analyze the data anonymously. Everything is completely anonymized. And actually we went so far that so when I set up my account, I have to create a recovery key on the app, and so basically that key is only available for the parent, and if you lose that key, we actually are not able to recover most of the data because only the parent and the robot have access to that data. And it's a sharing that that we, as embodied, we do not have access to personalized information. For example, my name would never show up in any of embodied's logs, or the abilities, the accessibility features. We don't have access to that either. So we are definitely handicapping ourselves there with some of it, but it was just like what we wanted to make sure that parents have full control of the data themselves. Yes, software is patentable, and we have submitted a number of patents on SocialX. And the development was about 4 years. And I've been at Embodied for almost 3 years. The physical, so there's a question by Brigitte, like which parts of Moxie are assembly of existing pieces and which are the ones that are developed by Embodied. So Moxie, the physical hardware robot, is literally completely developed by Embodied. We bought a number of off-the-shelf pieces like the processor or the motors, but the rest is completely designed by Embodied. Even the printed circuit boards are done and designed by Embodied. The entire design of the shell and the interiors are designed by Embodied, which was very, very difficult and very long process with working with manufacturers and making the parts as cheap as we can so that it is accessible to consumers. I think was a very difficult endeavor, but very glad that we're at the other side of it. But now, what we're trying to do is, we have this now. Can we make it cheaper? Can we make it more accessible to others? It's still a hefty price if you think about like a brand new mobile phone costs a lot of money, right? And a lot of people can't really afford that. But it's not what Sophia costs with several $1 million, or what other robots in the spectrum, in this like segment of the market, it costs $20,000, $30,000. Ours is $1,500.
Stefan, can I ask a question? It's like, I see a whole other application, and that is older people. Right now, right, with people isolated in nursing homes and retirement homes, unable to receive visits, two things. Especially also people with memory impairment, right, who are even more isolated, if you want. I can imagine that Moxie would be a huge asset there. First question. And the second one, can you give Moxie the voice of, for example, people's children, right, or somebody they recognize and sort of have a relationship and an emotional attachment to?
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think so Moxie, obviously, first we went for the market of for children, but definitely like a lot of the technology pieces that we've developed can be used for elderly care as much as for other individuals, for other issues, teenagers, for example, or as we talked about STEM education, things like that, even learning English with this robot, right? So things like that definitely is doable. The personalization of like the voice has happened. Like companies do that. For example, Cereproc is a company that has reproduced voices of individuals that, for example, lost their voice due to illness. There was just recently an ALS patient that they recreated the voice based off of recordings from the past, so that the person can speak in their own voice again. but we don't really do that at Embodied ourselves. But it could be done. Yeah, it's not a, we've created this voice, but it was, you know, like it is a process. It's not trivial to do that, but it could be done. Not sure how affordable it would be.
Do we have more questions? Anybody? If not.
Yes, I have a question. One more. Hey,
Okay.
can I ask any question to Moxie? Any question, and will I get an answer?
I'll have to tell that to you in person. We're working on things like that, but we are not ready to share that with the world yet.
Okay, thanks.
All right, everybody. Next reminder again, im November, 20. November ist 10 Uhr Central Time der nächste Virtual Ascina Talk, hosted by Ascina Midwest und Chicago. Also ihr kriegt alle Announcements darüber. Danke vielmals. Stefan, willst du noch was sagen? Ist noch irgendwas im Chat, was du beantworten willst?
Ich glaube nicht. Vielen Dank und danke für die Gratulationen und thanks a lot to everybody for listening. Hat mich sehr gefreut und ja.
Super gut, gratuliere, wirklich sehr.
Danke. Danke.
Allerseits, wir haben lange drauf gewartet, wir reden schon sehr lange drüber.
Ja, stimmt. Und leider hat es die In-Person-Demonstration nicht gegeben, aber noch nicht. Bald, hoffentlich.
Gut, allerseits. Vielen Dank. Danke, Stefan.
Merci. Tschüss.
Alle, die da waren. Tschüss.
Bye.